Yo, what's up guys, this is Spectre and welcome to How to Make a Montage episode 4, where we will dive into some basic Vegas Pro editing. If you haven't watched the past episodes, I'm leaving a link in the description for the entire playlist, or you can click the top right card right now. As I mentioned previously, this episode is dedicated to Vegas Pro, where I'll show you things like my project settings, render settings, and pretty much everything you need to know in order to get started with this editing software. Alright, so now you need to open your totally legit copy of Vegas Pro, and the first thing you wanna do is configure your project settings. Alright guys, so the project settings can be found here, on this icon right here. Click on it, and what I'm currently using is custom resolution with 2560 pixels width and 1440 height. I'm using this for YouTube only. If you want to use for something for Instagram or whatever, you can use the Full HD preset, and these are the settings that I'm using. So for field order, non-progressive scan, frame rate 60, on this square, original 0, pixel format 8-bit, and for the full resolution rendering quality, best, resample mode disable, and on the audio, sample rate 96,000. Click apply, and these are the project settings that you need to use. For YouTube I'm using the 1440p resolution because the YouTube codec will be better and I can get a better quality looking video if I'm rendering in this custom resolution. You don't need to film in 1440p, you can just use these settings to upscale the video resolution, and once you upload it to YouTube you will get a better codec for it. If you want more details regarding this aspect, search on YouTube AVC versus VP09 and you will see the differences right there. So now let's import a video, this one right here. You can import videos directly in the timeline just by drag and dropping, and you will see that now we have 3 tracks, 1 for video and 2 for audio. When you import a clip, you guys will probably have only 2 tracks, only 1 for audio, but because I configured my OBS to record my microphone in a separate track, that's why I have 2 audio tracks. If I want to delete this track, just gonna select it and press delete, and it's gonna delete the entire thing because I need to apply this setting right here, which is called ignore event grouping. So if I have this enabled, I can move the tracks individually and delete them. Also can delete the track as well from here. Where's the delete? Okay, delete. Right, so right now for the track settings, this is where you control the volume for the track, and you can make it like 20 decibels lower, or if you want to do it individually for each clip, you can do it from the middle of it just by modifying this slider right here from the top to the bottom, and it's gonna set the volume separately for each clip that you have. But for being consistent, you can just lower the volume for the entire track, preferably to a value that you will stick for like all your clips from now on, depending on what you want to do. Right, for the video itself, let's talk about some binds. As you can see now, I'm dragging the track separately, but I can re-enable this and I can drag the clip as a whole. If you want to split the clip or crop it, you can do that by pressing the S key from your keyboard, and it's gonna cut the video in half, both the video and the audio tracks. If you don't have this, if you have this enabled, the ignore event grouping, it's gonna cut only the track you have selected right here. So if I'm on audio, press S, it's gonna cut the audio, but I wanna cut everything. So I'm gonna disable this, press S, and I'm gonna delete this. Right. So now for the video track itself, if you wanna modify the opacity of this video, of this clip, you can do that by applying the same principle as on the audio itself, and you can drag the opacity from the middle right here individually per clip, or for the entire track from here. If you wanna add multiple tracks, you need to know that Vegas Pro works on layers similar to Photoshop. You can add another track by right clicking and insert video track, or press the bind Ctrl Shift Q. I'm gonna press the bind here, and I have another track just above my clip right here. So now if you want to copy your video on the track above, you can right click, click copy, and right here click paste, or use Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and it's gonna copy the audio as well because I don't have this enabled. And if I do it again, I now have another video clip above on a separate track. So let's say I want to edit this. This is useful because you can manipulate effects pretty much on separate tracks, but I'll get into more detail soon. Other useful binds would be M to add a mark, like when you make a kill. So as you can see right here, I'm making a kill, and I can add a mark right when I'm killing this guy by pressing M, and I will have this orange line representing the time when I make this kill. This is very useful because if you want to use a song in your video and you want to sync the song to the headshot itself, you can do that by using this mark. Let me add a song, this one right here, and I'm gonna lower the volume a bit so you guys can hear me as well. And you can see that these are the waveforms for the song. So let's listen for a beat. Okay, this is nice. You can cut this and just drag it, because I have a mark here, and now that here I'm killing the guy, and I can drag this exactly when the beat happens as well. And now I can drag audio back again, and this is what's gonna look like. You're not hearing the sound because it's a bit too low, but so this is how you sync, guys, pretty much. Usually when I make a montage, let me save this for a bit because Vegas tutorials. Vegas randomly crashes sometimes, and just make sure you save, like each time you apply an effect or whatever, just save it, so if it's gonna crash, you're not losing your work. Okay, so I was saying that each time I'm making a montage, first I'm gonna decide on which song I'm gonna pick, and I'm gonna listen to that song in Vegas and just add marks on each beat that I hear. So right here you hear another beat. This can represent another headshot or a transition, and I'm just gonna add another mark. Another beat right here, and another one here. So yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. Usually I listen to 1 minute or 2 minutes and just add marks everywhere so I can easily sync up the audio, just like this, to be honest. I'm gonna cut the sound and let's mute this track. On the left side, on the track configuration, you will see these buttons right here. Basically this means muting the whole track, like I'm disabling it. It's not gonna show differently in the preview window because it's the same clip copied above. But if I move it a bit, you will see that once I mute it, it's gonna disable this track and it's gonna preview the second track. Right, so I was talking about sync. Let's say I want to sync to this beat. So I just cut the video right here. And let me cut it here as well. Hold Ctrl to select both tracks, video and audio. And now I'm just moving it until this deagle shot wave is gonna start exactly when I press the M bind for marking. Let's see how this looks like. Add some more volume to the song as well. A bit too much. Nice. Let's get into some more details regarding these tabs right here on the left side, on top left side. So you have project media. Right here you can add all your files. So because I added one video and one song to the timeline, it also added them right here in the project media. But you can use this to add multiple videos or songs. Let's say I'm gonna add this and drag and drop it here. And right now I have 3 more songs available to use in the timeline. So this means that if I want to drag something else, instead of just going to the file, I can drag and drop them from here, just like that. Okay. Next, you have the Explorer tab. Don't really use it because I just use the normal Explorer from Windows. And we're into transitions. Transition means basically switching from a clip to another. Like right here, you can see that I've made a kill in window. And because I've cut the video to sync to my second kill, right when I reach this point, it's gonna switch to the point in time, like forward to when I'm making the second kill. You can add a transition by dragging the clips above each other, just like shown. And once you do this, you'll notice that it's gonna add a basic fade transition from a clip to another. This is way better than just leaving it like this. But you can use some other transition effects that you have in the Vegas Pro Transition tab. And you guys will notice that I have a lot of transitions and effects, like even more than you guys have, because you just installed Vegas maybe, or you don't have any other thing installed with it. I have these extra transitions and effects because I'm currently using some plugins for Vegas, but I'll get into more details regarding this in a further episode, okay? So just for the sake of this basic tutorial, let's use a simple transition, and let me show you how you can apply it right here. So in order to do that, you just select the transition that you prefer, and let's say I'm gonna use this spin transition. Click on it and hold and drag it to this space right here. This is gonna pop a new window with the transition settings, but I'm not interested in that, so I'm just gonna close it. and let's see how it's gonna look like. This is a classic Vegas Pro issue. So the thing with this is that the preview is usually laggy and you don't really understand what you're editing. So if you wanna get rid of this issue, what you need to do is first try to change the preview quality from good or best or preview to draft half or draft quarter. Once you go to quarter, you'll see that the quality dramatically decreases, but this is just for the preview itself and it's not gonna affect the final video that you're gonna render. So it added this insanely good transition. If you still have issues with the preview being laggy, what you can do is go to Options, Preferences, and in the Video tab right here, if you never played with this before, you will have 200 megabytes of memory allocated to Vegas Pro. So what I recommend you guys to do is to go to this PC. Maybe you already know it, but there might be some guys that don't know it. So check how much memory you have in your computer or laptop. So I'm currently on 16 gigs, and I recommend you to add a third of your RAM and allocate it to Vegas Pro. So I just typed in 5000 and that should be good enough. If it's still not good, one more extra thing that you can do, and this will work 100%, is go to Project Media and select your clip or multiple clips if you have, but make sure you're not selecting some other things like audio or I don't know, some other thing that might randomly appear here, and right click and click on this Create Video Proxy. So what this gonna do is, on the bottom left corner you'll see that there's something loading. So it's basically building a video proxy for my clip right here, which basically means like something that would help my preview window run way faster. Like it's a pre-render, if you want to call it that way, that Vegas can read way better than the actual MP4 file, and this is gonna help us a lot with the preview speed. So if you have multiple clips and preparing yourself for a montage, what I recommend is import all the clips in the project media or in timeline, and just go in the project media, select everything and right click and create video proxy, and I don't know, go away for 1 hour or 30 minutes depending on how many clips you have, because it's gonna go through each one and build this video proxy for them. So now that it's finished, it's gonna run way smoother than before, so I can even use better quality for this. Okay, I was kidding. Thanks, Vegas. Alright, that's gonna cover the transitions, guys. If you wanna change the transition settings, go on the transition itself and click on the transition properties, and you can play with it and change whatever you like. It depends on what transition you pick as well. Let's go a bit further, and right here this is the effects tab, and you will see that Vegas has some effects. I also have a bunch of effects from the other plugins, but as I mentioned, I'm gonna talk about this later on. And let's pick an effect for the demonstration purposes. I'm not sure what to pick, so I'll just go to favorites, because I also have a lot of effects that I've added on my favorites list right here. So let's say I'm gonna use Lab Adjust. This is an effect that I use for brightness or changing the color of the clip. Now let's see when I'm making the kill. Okay, it's on this mark, right? And for adding an effect, it's the same purpose. Just drag it on the clip you want to add it on. Right, so nothing's changed because I've just dragged the default value instead of something already configured like red, lighter or darker or whatever. Right, so you can play with these settings let's say I want to add some more lightness with something that I'm a bit happier. To be honest, lightness doesn't look so great here because there's already a lot of light in this footage right here. So I can just play with something else like this setting, channel B or whatever, to make it a bit yellowish, just like that. Right, so what happened now, I've added an effect on my video and you can see it right here on this event effects icon that it went blue just from white, because this is how it looks like if you don't have any effect applied to it, and if you have an effect applied to it, it looks blue. So what happened was I've added the effect and now it affected my whole clip, and I don't want that because I want my effect to pop up like when I'm making the kill. So in order to do that, you need to understand the concept of keyframes. Meaning, you can animate an effect by clicking this icon right here that's actually called animate as well. And you will see that on the bottom we have a new option to add and modify keyframes. So what keyframes mean? They're basically like a setting in a point in time. So I'm looking at the channel B keyframes right here because I pressed animate on it. If I press animate on something else, it's gonna pop up here as well, lightness. Okay, but I don't want that, I just want the channel B. So for the channel B effect right here, I'm gonna go to exactly when I want the effect to appear. It's on my mark actually, so I'm clicking that. If this doesn't move with the video itself, you need to click sync cursor to media timeline, because if I have it disabled, you will see that the preview window is not moving. Right, so let's say I want the effect to appear here. What I need to do is add a new keyframe, and with this basically I can configure it individually to have a different setting. Like here, for instance, if I want to add this setting right here, you will see that because I had the initial keyframe right here, what's gonna happen is it's gonna basically transition from the start of the clip to this setting 0.333 to minus 565. So this is what keyframes mean. Basically a transition from a setting to another in a point in time. So in order for this to make it look great, let's delete this because it's lame, and I'm gonna move it here. In order for it to make it look way better, what you need to do is add a default keyframe and set it to 0 right before the kill happens. So when the kill is gonna happen, it's gonna transition to the value that we've set with the keyframe, just like so. And you also need to add an exit keyframe to transition back to the normal value, just like so. Song might be a bit too loud. Let's say I can change this to whatever I want now. Like bluish, right? And you will see that it kind of fades out like a bit too fast. And what you can do is you can right click on the keyframe and you can select a different fade out, like a slow fade, fast fade or smooth fade, and it's gonna modify the transition to the new keyframe, like the actual values. If I'm going with the slow fade, you will see that it stays to this setting like a bit more and goes a bit faster at the end. So we can even drag the second keyframe like a bit further and the effect will stay in for longer. if you want to see it like really specific, you can hold K on your keyboard and press L, like to play it in slow motion. If you press L multiple times, you will see that it goes a bit faster. Once you pause it with space, by the way, you can use space to play and pause. I kinda use this K setting, like this option, multiple times, because I'm a perfectionist and I waste too much time on my effects. If you wanna do it the same way, it's perfectly fine, but depends on how picky you are and what you wanna do with your video. Okay, now for effects, let's say I want to add something basic like brightness and contrast. I'm gonna have to search for it. Right, so I don't know, let's say I want to add a bit more contrast and select this plugin right here. No way. that's not looking good. Okay, wait, I'm gonna add a default value and I'll change it. So I want a bit more brightness and some contrast, just like that. It's not the best looking contrast, but you get the idea what I want to do. So if I want to have that on all my clips, I can add the effect, like for demonstration purposes I'm gonna make it a bit darker so you can understand what I mean. Let's say that this is the effect of my dreams and I want to add it on multiple clips, because there's a second clip coming right here after the transition, and you'll see that this clip right here does not have the effect I added. So what you can do is right click on this, copy, and just paste event attributes, meaning it will copy all the effects from the first clip to the second one. Or you can do a selectively paste event attributes and just select whichever you want, whichever effect or event pan crop settings you want to copy from one video to another. Yeah, so I want the effect. And right now I have the same effects, including the effect that I did for this this mark right here. So I need to be careful of that. See? It added the keyframes as well. So either I go to this effect and disable it, or there's a better way. If you just want to add some color correction, you can add it on the whole track itself. Like right here, either go into track effects and you can add an effect from here, or do it the simple way and add it just by drag and dropping it to the track. And if I'm gonna change it, let's say this is what I want, right? It's gonna affect all the clips in this track. But be aware, if you do it like this after you've modified some clips, you just need to disable the brightness and contrast from the other clips, because it's gonna stack and like it won't look so great. Right, so next we would have media generator. From here I'm not using many things other than solid color and titles and text. In order to add the titles and text, if you add it and you drag it down here, say my text, right? It's not gonna show because your text needs to be on a track that's above the actual video track that you have. So you can either drag the track above or just add a new track with Ctrl+Shift+Q, and you can add the text right here. You see, just like that. I'm gonna delete this. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna disable this effect a bit because it's annoying. Right, so for the text settings, I don't know, I'll just leave my text here. You can pick whatever font you want. Let's say I like this one. And there are some settings like for shadow, which looks great. Add it like that. I need to change the settings a bit. like this. Okay, looks a bit better now. Okay. Right, when you're in text settings, you can drag it wherever you want. Let's say I want to make it a bit smaller. And this is how I even add my name on the Instagram videos, just like that, pretty much. Or I think it's in the center right now. Yeah, you can make it bigger from here as well. Yeah, this is how I add it. It's a bit annoying with the FPS, but you get the idea. For solid color, you can use it even to add an effect with it. Let's say instead of using this lab adjust effect, I can actually use, let me add another track. By the way, when you have multiple tracks like this, you need to go down from this sidebar right here, and it's a bit annoying, but if you hold Ctrl and use your mouse wheel, you just scroll up and down. Right, you can make tracks. If you're finished with the text, let's say, you can make it smaller like this, and you will see more things in your timeline. Anyway, what I forgot to mention, like on each clip or on any solid color, text, or even audio or whatever, you can add a fade in and a fade out. In order to do this, what this fade in means, like instead of just having my name pop up randomly on the screen, I can have it fade in beautifully by using this option right here, this fade in offset. Just hold mouse 1 and drag it a bit to the right, and you'll see that it just fades in, just like that. Okay, it was on the transition. You can use the same principle on the fading out, and the length of this is basically the length of the fade in or the fade out. If you want to do it faster, just make this a bit smaller. Okay, right, for the solid color, I said you can even add an effect with it by using fade in and fade out. Let's say I want to add orange, and because this is on the track that's above my video track, my clip track, it's only gonna show the solid color itself. So what you can do with this, you need to modify the opacity for it. I don't know, let's keep it 25% or 26, whatever. And you will see that once my player line here reaches this solid color, it's gonna look like this. So what you can do is fade this out, and it's basically gonna look like a random effect that you've just used from video effects. Right, you can actually play with the fade in, fade out settings by right clicking on the fade in or fade out offset, and this is pretty much similar to what we saw in the keyframes. I deleted that actually. It was here, yeah. So it's similar to this, like you can pick how fast you want it to fade in or fade out. Like if you wanna do a smooth fade, fast fade, or slow fade, or whatever. So it's the same principle. This is like a slow fade. You can see, you can pretty much tell from the line. And this is a fast fade. So it's gonna disappear a bit faster. Let's move the opacity back again to 25. So this means like it looks like pretty much I'm fading out too fast. But you can drag the solid color a bit more. And I don't know, you can just play with these settings, and you guys can pick whatever you think it's better for you. Okay guys, now let's talk a bit about slow motion. And there are two ways in order to achieve slow motion in Vegas Pro. For the first option, you need to cut the video with the S key, and right when you want the slow motion to end, just cut it again. Also do the same for the audio. And this is a trick right here. If you want to move like multiple clips and audio tracks to the right, instead of just selecting everything and moving them like this, you can use this tool right here, which is selection edit tool, and it will select multiple clips and audio tracks for you to move easier, just like that. Actually, I didn't want to move this, so I'll get it back here. Alright, so for slow motion, for option 1, you can apply it by selecting your clip, holding Ctrl and dragging it to the right in order to make it slower. And it goes the other way around. If you want to play this clip faster and a higher speed, then you go to the left side and it will make the clip smaller. Alright, let's apply slow motion. If you go up to the maximum, it's gonna be around 25%. And let's see how it looks like. Okay, it's great. There's a problem with the audio though. The thing is, like when you apply slow motion to the audio tracks, you need to also right click on this and properties, make sure to enable this locked stretch. Now let's drag these clips back here and let's see how this looks like. So the longer you make this clip, the slower it's gonna be, alright? So if I'm gonna go here, this is a 35% slow motion. It's gonna be a bit faster than before. Not sure if you can tell, but I hope you guys get the idea. The second option would be to use something more advanced, which is called velocity. You can enable velocity on each clips by right clicking on it and go here, insert remove envelope and click on velocity. Now you will see that you have this velocity line, green line on your clip. So in order to apply slow motion using velocity, let's zoom in for a bit. You need to add keyframes by double clicking on the green line, just like that. This is a keyframe for velocity. And let's add another keyframe when I want the slow motion to end, right here. So this is where it's gonna end. And right now I just want to make this slow as soon as I hit this guy's head, and I'll need to zoom in and add another keyframe and right click on it, and I'll set it to 20% forward velocity. Basically this means a 20% speed for this keyframe. So it's gonna be a little bit slow, but because I have added the new keyframe, which has the value of 100% speed, depending on how I want to manipulate this speed of the speed of the clip, I can add more keyframes here and set it to 20% as well. So like it's gonna be slow for this part to 20% and then move straight to 100, like here. The velocity tool is way more powerful than just holding control and dragging your clip, because you can actually transition the keyframe speed from your slow motion value to 100% and it can look like really smooth. Let me show you an example. So right now I just added 20%. This is how it looks like. But if I just add 20% until this spot right here, and let's say I move the 100 right here, it's gonna be 20% for these once it reaches this keyframe, and it's gonna hold to 20%, and from here on it's gonna transition up to 100. So if I add a keyframe right here, you will see that the value is like 54%. So it's way more smoother and it looks way much better. Because you can't really tell when the slow motion ends, because it's just using keyframes to transition from one point to another. Alright guys, now let's move a bit to pan and crop settings. So I've edited this frag right here and all my effects are going here, right? Lab adjust or whatever. Actually disable those because I'm using the Vegas solid color for demonstration. But right next to the effects button right here, you have the pan and crop event. So if you click that, you'll find out that here is where you can zoom in, zoom out, and rotate your camera. And all of these settings are based also on keyframes. So for instance, let's go to exactly when I want to add the effect. Let's say I want to zoom in right here with this rectangle. You can see on my preview on the right side that I'm zooming in. What I need to do now is create a default keyframe right behind it with default values. I'm gonna right click and restore, and few keyframes forward I want to do a zoom out effect. So it's gonna look like a zoom in and after that a zoom out. I'm gonna change the position a bit. And for a maximum effect, I'm gonna add another keyframe like further away, which I'm gonna restore. It's gonna look pretty much like this. Let me show you how to pre-render a video to make sure the quality is okay. So let's select everything that I want to see and press Shift M, and it's gonna open this pre-render video tab. Right here you're gonna select your render settings and click on render. And now I can use the best quality for this, and it's not gonna be laggy or anything. So it looks like my keyframes are a bit too fast. Just use the K button and press L to say it in slow motion. So now you can see that this tool is very powerful. You can notice that I'm zooming in after I've shot the bullet, right? So this is how you can tell that the slow motion preview is really powerful for this. Alright, what I can do is move this a bit further and readjust accordingly. Yeah, okay, now let's say that I'm ready to render this video out. Since I didn't do any editing here, basically you need to select what you want to render. Usually when I'm finished, I'm gonna cut the song like this and add a fade out for it. Also, I need to add a fade in because I didn't add that before. You can do the same for the clip. And let's say I'm gonna cut everything here for the fade out itself. So I'm fading everything out pretty much like that. So when you want to render, you would need to select everything. You can do that by just holding mouse 1 and going to the start right here, or just click right here at the end, hold shift and press home, and it's gonna select everything. And now you will go to render as, file render as, and let me show you my render settings that I use for YouTube. So first go to this tab here, Magix, AVC, AAC, MP4. Select anything from here, either one is fine. and click on customize template. Now right here, copy all the settings that I have. So if you're using the project settings for 1440p, also make sure to render it in 1440p. Bitrate 50k, everything high quality. For the audio, sample rate same as the projects, and for the project, video rendering quality, make sure it's set to best. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Once you're done with these settings that you've customized, you can enter a name here and you click on save to save this preset in order for you to use it later on. Same for the 1080p resolution. These are my settings. I adjusted the bitrate a bit because 50k is a bit too much. I'm only using it for the 1440p videos. Project best. And for the audio, 96,000 as well. Alright, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I think this is hell of a video, like it's very long, but I hope that I managed to cover most of the basic stuff that came to my mind. If you have any other questions, how to do something, please write down in the comments and I'll try my best to answer to every one of you. And yeah, make sure to leave a like for this video because it's gonna help me a lot and also show this video to multiple people. And for the next week, or I don't know when I'm gonna upload the next video regarding this series, but either way, next week or 2 weeks from now on, I'm gonna cover a bit the aspect with more advanced editing in Vegas and how you can use different plugins and what do they mean and how they can help you. So yeah, thanks for watching again and I'll see you next time.